Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Harry Muppet. We are going to be casting the third in a best of 5 series of games. It is the grand final of the, what's that bloody thing called? The ZOTAC monthly cup run back in April. And it is between our grand finalists. Up the top left side of the map, we do have our blue Zerg player Snute, otherwise known as Liquid Snute. And down the bottom right hand side of the map, we do have our red Terran player, CM Storm Polt. Otherwise known as Polt, and these guys have just been having it out like you would not believe. This is the third game. The first two games, you have to watch these games, not just to find out what happened in these two games, but just because they are so awesome. Polt just really showing what Terran macro can do when it gets up and running, and he did some awesome triple M usage. He got some tanks in there. He had ravens shooting infestors. It was all over the place. Absolutely awesome. And Snute showing exactly what Zerg macro can do once it's in gear. He almost always had an extra base over the Terran player. He was getting out a massive amount of units all over the place. Unfortunately for him though, the Terran player had his number. He was going for a late game Ultralisk play with some infestors and with a bunch of lings and roaches and all that sort of good stuff. But he couldn't make it work. Twice in a row, he tried the same tactic, 2 games in a row, and 2 games in a row, Polt just knocked him back. He just took out expansions. He did some good job. He had used Widow Mines as well. Widow Mines doing exactly the same amount of damage that they should have done. And yeah, Polt was just, it was looking a bit dicey in the first game, but in the second game, he settled in. He did everything even better than the first game, and Snute just was completely taken back. He just really didn't have anything. He didn't have any way of getting past Polt in that game. So I think that Snute has to mix it up. He can't go for the Ultra Roach Ling Infestor tech anymore. It's just not working in the past 2 games. So either he's going to have to go, either he might try the same route and have to do the most perfect macro in the entire world to make it work, but I don't see it happening. I think he's going to have to pull something out. I think he's going to have to go for a different route, something that he hasn't done in the past 2 games, and he's going to have to see how it goes. You can see he's going for an early spawning pool here. Actually it might not have been before the hatchery, but I think it was before the hatchery. He's getting the queen out there, he's getting the queen out there. The Reaper's going to come in a little bit before the queens. He got this in last game as well, a little bit earlier. But here comes the lings. A couple of lings there. Not on the ling there, but there's at least 2 lings. And they're going to try and harass the Reaper. But it's not going to take too much longer. Nice little bit of micro, getting that drone out of harm's way. But here comes the queen. And that Reaper's days of harassing are completely over. Oh, look at that. That was just brilliant. That is Grandmaster play right now. He morphed into a Spore Crawler there just to save the drone. As soon as the Reaper went away, he just unmorphed it, went back to mining. He needs that drone to be a miner. And the Reaper just harassing the drones as they run between bases. So he's doing an excellent job. Certainly making his money's worth. He's probably got about 3 drone kills. But the problem is that all of the damage he's done has been spread over about 10 different drones, so he's only killed 1 drone by the looks of it, but he has done a lot of damage to a ton of other drones. But there we go. He's just going to run around, wait for some action in between the bases. It's not going to happen though. This 3rd queen is going to be able to chase him now. There's the 4th queen. He's going to have to run. There's not much he can do. There we go. The Terran player going for his expansion. It's fairly early, but it's not too early because Heart of the Swarm. Early expansions for Terran and Protoss players have been a lot better, a lot more suitable. Even against Zerg players, you can get away with it a lot more because the Zerg have switched to a very early macro sort of play, and they just go nuts on the macro very early. They don't really worry about ling rushes or roach timing pushes or anything like that. They just go nuts on the workers, and the way they survive is by going nuts on the queens early on as well. You get a ton of queens early on, and the queens help defend, help spread the creep, and that means they can get an early 3rd and already have a queen ready for it. especially against the Terran players, and Terrans love Hellions so much. So the Queens, together with 2 Evo Chambers of Roach Warren, it's going to be more than enough to keep these guys out. The Hellions trying to snipe a bit of play. The Zerg player is actually really worried here. He's getting down a 3rd Evo Chamber. I can't imagine him actually using this for upgrades. So he's got to be worried about the Hellions. And he's got to be worried now because he's got to be spending all this money on the upgrades, and this Evo Chamber is going to go down. I don't know what he can do to actually stop this going down. There we go. He's going to try and chase it out now. He's cancelled that Evo Chamber that he didn't need. He's going to try and chase him away. But the Terran player has an investment in this Evo Chamber. He's invested a lot of damage, and he wants to see all that damage pay off. But it doesn't look like he'll be able to. He'll just lose too many Hellions trying to go for that. So there we go. And the Roaches are coming out now. So the Hellions' window of opportunity to do damage is not very long at all. It's very, very slow. It's going to go in. When the Queens are off the creep, they are very vulnerable, but the creep is right back there, so the Queens run back, manage to kill off 1 Hellion, and this Evo Chamber I think is safe. There's no way he's going to be able to take this out now, and the Roaches are on the board. He's going straight for a 3rd hatchery. The Hellions might be able to do something here, but now that the Roaches out on the game board, out on the map, the Hellions are going to be almost useless. Unless they can somehow fly past and get into drone land, they're going to be pretty useless against the Roaches. And meanwhile, the Terran player sees the Roaches. He's getting a couple of bunkers up in addition to his supply depot wall. He's getting some Marines out. He's getting some Marauders out. So there might be a minute or so when the Roaches go in and could do some damage. But these Hellions are keeping them more than occupied here. And by the time these Roaches are getting around to actually doing an attack, I think the Terran player should be ready. If you have a look at the income here, the Zerg player slightly ahead. 54 to 48. Now that's only slightly ahead by a small amount, but yeah, I mean it's I think the Terran player is still fine. He's getting his 3rd base. He really needs to worry about this though. Please tell me you've seen this. He has seen this. He needs to move some units over there ASAP. You see, his map has seen it, but he's only now just actually working with it. He should have seen that bursting up. He did not. And this is imaginative. This I was not expecting at all. Nidus Worm coming down in the back of the base. The Terran player was not prepared for an attack from this position. He's even got a 2nd Nidus Worm up. Massive amount of Roaches coming in, just absolutely massive. You can see his supply is about 40 above the Terran player. Maybe this is an escape route a little bit closer. But the Terran player is going to go in. He's going to try and do something. He does not have enough to take on this many Roaches. He's just going to have to keep running away. He's going to take out a few of them, but my god, a lot of workers went down there. If you're still having a look at the income, he lost about 4 or 5 there. The Roaches are coming in, they're destroying buildings, they're causing havoc, and, well, I mean, what can you do? I mean, the Zerg player is continuing to build Roaches, and the Terran player is in a lot of trouble here. He's losing all his production buildings. Look at this, with shields going down, that gets taken out. I don't know if he had time to cancel, but I think at this point the Terran player has... I mean, these guys are retreating, but I'm not sure why they're retreating. They could just keep pushing in, keep doing some damage, keep taking out the barracks. Once all these barracks get taken out, and the Terran player is screwed, absolutely screwed, because he'll have no ability to create units anymore. The thing that's really screwing up the Zerg right now are these Widow Mines. He's pushing in these Marine Marauders in order to get the Widow Mines set down in good positions, and that's really what's hurting the Zerg player. The Zerg player is getting the buildings when he can, but the Widow Mines are doing so much damage to him, and that's what's whittling down his forces so much. He's actually got a bunch of Roaches down here. He's moved him down here. He's got a Nidus Worm down on the low ground, so that's good for him. The main base is going to be secure, but this base got taken out. It's barely alive. I don't know if he's going to have enough micro to actually get somebody over to fix that up. He's going to try, maybe. I really don't know. I don't know if that one's going to survive. He's got his hands full with the Roaches all over there, trying in vain to rebuild the supply depot, and he still has not killed that orbital command. The Queen taking some pot shots in it. There we go, a couple of SCVs, and here we go. The Roach is still moving in the front, constantly hitting those SCVs, trying to heal up the supply depot wall, trying to repair it up. And the Terran player, man, he just got absolutely screwed in that battle. Really, really badly screwed. There's creep all over the place. He's got to try and take all this out, try and get rid of all the Nidus Worms, and It'll be a while before he can build up back here, and let's have a look at the income. He didn't lose as many workers as he could have, but in terms of army, he went down quite a bit. I think he lost a fair amount of production facilities. I can't remember what was over here, but it was bad. He's moved back, and he's lost his third base. Zerg, meanwhile, is building up his fourth base. He's doing very well. Let's see what his tech options are. He's going for an infestation pit. He's going for a ton of upgrades. He's going for the 1-1. He looks like he is going for the ultras, though. He is still going to go for the ultras this game, according to the upgrades he's getting. So we'll see if that bit of mayhem that he managed to cause over there gives him enough of a lead to actually make this work. I'm not sure will, though. Viking coming over. Viking going to do some damage, going to take out some overlords. Not really a huge hassle. But yeah, I mean, Overlord's dying, definitely not a good thing, and he doesn't have that much anti-air. In fact, I don't think he has any anti-air at the moment. There's Overlord speed, so that should stop the Vikings from doing that much more damage. There we go, the Queen's got to take this Viking out, not paying attention, but he's more worried about this force. He's going to burrow these guys. He does not have the increased burrowing speed at the moment, otherwise a lot more roaches would have died then, so that's a bit of unfortunate for the Terran player. He's going to run out of there, though. These roaches are just too much for him. He's going to get out of there. He did a bit of damage. He put all these widow mines down there. And here we go. An overseer coming down. They all get taken out very, very nicely. So good job there by the Zerg player. He's building up a bit more Terran forces. But the Zerg has quite a lot. I don't know if he wants to commit, though, because there are a lot of marauders here. And he's got to be worried about widow mines. There's only one widow mine here. But for all he knows, there could be 5 or 6 or 7 of the damn things. That's the thing you don't know with widow mines, how many there are actually out there. But he's going to have to jump in, he's going to have to run away, and the Zerg player's like, well, you run that way and I'll run this way. I'm going to take out your base. And that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to get some widow mines out the front, try and hold them off. But the Zerg player, he's got an attack going up here, just a small drop. He's got his main force coming down here. Going to try and take out this hatchery, and the Zerg player decides he was going to move back. I thought he was going to move back there, but he's deciding to go after the third base instead. He takes down a lot of mules and workers and stuff like that. He still has no anti-air, but he is going to put down a Nidus worm underneath the hatchery landing position, so that means that hatchery cannot land, and this will be good for reinforcements as well. So very nice use of Nidus worms so far in this game. It's going to be a bit of a pain for the Terran player to get out there and actually knock out that Nidus worm. But these forces, I thought for a sec they'd be flanked, but of course I'm forgetting the not the motherships, the bloody medevacs. He's got to save all those forces, but he really needs to get him back to the start of his base. Back to defend his base. His base is in a lot of trouble. There's more forces down here, but it's not nearly enough. I really think he's got to play defensively at this point. He just has to. There's too many Zerg forces. They're going across the map too fast. Offensive play is all good, but if your base gets wiped out while you're playing offensively, then obviously you lose the game. So he really needs to get defensive a little bit. Love to see some siege tanks out here. Really love to see some siege tanks up on this ledge. They could do a lot of good if they're up there. Meanwhile, though, he's continuing to drop. I don't know what these guys are doing. They're that has got to be the fungal growth of the century right there. The Zerg saw everything. The Terran player saw something, but obviously not enough. And yeah, those forces, man, they got pretty screwed. And here we go. The Zerg player, he's doing a push in there. The Terran player was not playing defensively, and he just did not have enough to push away these forces. Look at that, 2 armor, 0 weapons. So you can see he was moving on to the Ultra Tech later on. The Banelings had 2 attacks, so they're pretty sweet. But this guy, he decided, well, you know, I've got a good beat on these forces. I've just wiped out, neutralized those forces, so just have a crack. And he had so much more than the Terran player. The Terran player, he tried to do a bit of drop action, got down this hatchery, but this hatchery wasn't really doing anything. And these forces just kept getting dwindled down again and again and again. You needed to pull them back, solidify them in one group, get out a bunch more units. But even then, I don't know if it would have worked. I mean, he was 1 base down for quite a long time. I don't think this third base was ever really going. And yeah, massive amount of roaches just go in there and just ruined his day. So there we go. That is game 3. It's a very interesting play there by our blue Zerg player. That Nidus attack, absolutely fantastic. Great stuff. It's very easy to do in here because you've got this little bit up there that's kind of hard to see. The Terran player did see it, but he did not act fast enough to actually take it out. So that was his mistake. and they went in there. They didn't do a colossal amount of damage, but they threw the Terran player off his game. Meanwhile, the Zerg player got this base down. He built up a crap ton of roaches, and I think from there on he just had the army advantage. He just had the roach army advantage, and the Zerg player, magnificent job in locking down this third base, in not letting it just go for broke. If the Terran player had this third base just going nuts, unmolested, unattacked, then the Terran player could have produced a lot more units, and he would have been a lot more dangerous to the Zerg player. But the Zerg player keeping that third base locked down, and I think that gave him the win. He just was managing to get up the superior army numbers, and eventually he decided the time was right. He went in and he wiped everything out. So good game for our Zerg player. He has turned it around. He lost the first 2 games, but it is now 1-2, and the Zerg player still needs to win the next 2 games. The Terran player only needs to win 1 game. He is still very close to winning, but the Zerg player has pushed him back a little bit and said, hey, I'm still in it. I've still got a chance. So we are going to go into game 4, and we're going to see, will our Zerg player Snute continue to push back, continue to gain some momentum, or will our Terran player shut him down once and for all and win this grand final series? Check it out. I'll check it out in game 4. I hope you guys will check it out with me. I'll catch you later. This has been Hairy Muppet. Hope you enjoyed the game.